Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get More Clients. I am so excited to see you here today. And let's move forward. So I'm Lynn Whitbeck, the host of Get More Clients. Business owners and entrepreneurs hire me to ignite winning sales because most are chasing down leads, lack client retention, conversion, and profit. The mission of this show is to educate, inspire, and motivate women and men around the world to build a robust sales strategy to get more clients, because many can't get more clients and haven't a clue why. You will learn to transform thinking to the client's perspective, eliminate the lengthy, chaotic sales cycle to ignite your sales and unleash lasting profits. You will also have the opportunity to connect with me further to see how I can support you beyond today. Have you ever felt that somebody else was getting a better deal? Because and even you're having a conversation with someone and you're going like, oh, well, you signed up for this product or service and you only had to pay X. Well, I paid Y. Think about those commercials with Travago. Person A pays $230 for the hotel room while person B only pays $175. Well, that's a pretty big gap. And when you think about that and you're thinking, okay, well, how does that impact me in sales? Here's the thing. Your clients, if they're in group sessions, if they meet one another at a trade show or a conference, they're on a networking piece, they're in some kind of organization, industry organization, and they connect. It can easily come up in conversation. Let me tell you, easily come up in conversation that they're working with you and they start to sort of trade notes. And this is the thing. If you don't have consistent deal points, that person A is going to feel like they were massively ripped off, right? Because person B got a completely different deal, better pricing, a better service level agreement, faster implementation, whatever it happens to be. So knowing your deal points and having those completely worked out is really vital for long-term client retention. It's that transparency and integrity that really represents your business. Because remember, there's the classic saying, it can take a lifetime to build your reputation, and you can lose it in 5 minutes in one of those conversations. Okay, so last week on Get More Clients, I shared Fortune 500 secrets translated for your growth. Today, we will discuss 3 deal point factors you must master for better sales. Deal points are the key terms and conditions of a sales agreement or process moving forward, whatever that happens to be of your products and service. They typically include the price, the product or service specifications, payment terms, delivery schedule or implementation process, and warranty or guarantee, or something like a service level agreement. By the end of today's show, you will learn why knowing your deal points fosters negotiation confidence, how deal points strengthen your negotiation posture, and the intersection between deal points, transparency, and integrity. Deal points can vary depending on the type of product or service being sold. That's pretty obvious. The specific needs of the client and the negotiation skills of the sales individual, the business owner, the entrepreneur, or the team, the sales team. However, here's the kicker. Knowing your deal points helps your sales process, negotiation, and closing move more quickly and smoothly. So let's dive into why knowing your deal points fosters negotiation confidence. It's because it gives you a clear understanding of what you are willing to accept and what you are not willing to compromise on. This can help you feel more in control of the negotiation process and to avoid making concessions that you will later regret. Now, here are some reasons why knowing your deal points can boost your negotiation confidence. It gives you a sense of purpose. When you know that you want to what you want to achieve in a negotiation, you are more likely to stay focused and motivated. This can help you resist pressure from your client to stand up for your interests, to really stand in your own worth. Number two, it helps you anticipate objections. If you know your deal points inside and out, you will be better prepared to answer any objections that your client may raise. And this can help you maintain your composure and to negotiate effectively. We're going to talk about objection points and answering objections later down, but it's so vital because it's a connection between the two. Deal points, they're going to automatically produce certain objections. Now, number three, it gives you a stronger bargaining position, right? Because this is a negotiation. When you know that what you are willing to accept and what you are not willing to compromise, you're in a stronger position to negotiate a more favorable sale. This is because knowing your client and knowing that you're not going to give up or give in easily. I mean, it really puts you in that strength of standing in your own power. Of course, knowing your deal points is not the only factor that contributes to negotiation confidence. So I just have to hit on this because there are important factors that include your communication skills, emotional intelligence, and preparation. However, knowing your deal points is a critical foundation for successful negotiations. So, how do deal points strengthen your negotiation posture? I sort of touched on that, but we were talking about confidence. Well, let's talk about your posture. Knowing your deal points can strengthen your negotiation posture in a number of ways. Now, number one, it gives you a sense of purpose. And I've already sort of really touched on this, but this is really critical because if you know what you want to achieve in and during the negotiation, it's so much easier to stay focused and motivated. And I want you to really think about how that taps into this because it's really vital. It's giving you that confidence and assurance. And when you have that sense of purpose, you know what that end goal and why it matters. That's really giving you an edge. Now, I already touched on this, that it really helps you anticipate objections. So some of these may seem like they're a repeat, but if you know your deal points inside and out, it really helps you prepare for those objections. Because if you don't know your deal points, you can't anticipate the objections and you can't prepare responses to those objections. It's the whole loop, and you can actually derail a closing because you can't answer an objection. And the other thing is that when you are doing that work, you've figured out all your deal points, you've worked out what the objections potentially could be, and then you've figured out the exact response that you're going to use, and you practice that, you are going to be able to maintain your composure and to negotiate much more effectively. Now, I also talked about how this positions you when you are doing the negotiation. And that's the whole key. Because if you know exactly what you are not willing to compromise on and where you can make adjustments, it really helps you close that sale more effectively. It helps you get the price, your worth, and the value of your product or service. And it also lets the other party win. All right. Because a negotiation is a win-win. So if you know your deal points, you know where you can make concessions and you know how you can help and serve them so that they feel that they win. And then where you're not willing to make changes, what you're not willing to compromise on. So it's really critical. And it really helps you build trust because it's trust with the other person. I talked about this in the beginning of that story, that integrity. Because when you're able to articulate your deal points clearly and confidently, it shows your prospect, your client, that you're serious about the negotiation and that you're willing to put in the work to find common ground, to reach an agreement that's beneficial to both parties. The win-win. You win, they win, you come together. So here are some tips for you to know your deal points and strengthen your negotiation posture. Number one, do your research. Before you start negotiating, take some time to research the market. This is all about knowing who your client is, what the industry is doing, what your market is, understanding the value of your product or service you're selling, who are the competitors, and what their structure is. And this is really going to help you set a realistic expectations, identify your competitive edge, and negotiate from this position of strength. Number two, be clear about your goals. What do you hope to achieve in the negotiation? Are you looking to close the sale? That's all you want? I hope not. You should be looking to maximize your profits, secure a long-term contract or relationship because you are building a relationship with the other person. If that person does not feel that they are winning, that it's very one-sided, you're planting a bitter seed and you're going to have client churn. You've got to be building that and nurturing that relationship in the negotiation stage for a win-win. And once you know your goals, you can really develop a very rock-solid negotiation strategy. Next, you want to identify your priorities. So, think about this. Not all deal points are created equal. They have very many different nuances, and some are going to be more important to you than others. And so when you're working through your deal points, you also want to list the priorities, and you want to be prepared to negotiate on the ones that are less important, right? Because maybe your pricing cannot be changed. This is the price, period. You don't even offer different payment plans or other ways of financing. It could just be, this is it. You take it or leave it type of thing. Well, what are the other things that you could potentially negotiate on, compromise, find common ground, give them a win? So this comes to my next point, to be flexible. All right. It is important to be willing to compromise in a negotiation. You've got to create the win-win. This fosters a much stronger relationship, the trust that you want, and really sets you up for a long-term opportunity with that client for referrals, for additional business, and it's absolutely critical. Now, with that said, I want to be very clear. This does not mean that you should ever compromise on your core deal points. That example I just gave you, if the price is the price, that's it. That's not a point of negotiation. And my last tip, you want to practice. The more you negotiate, the more confident you will become. And this is a great thing to do in a peer-to-peer mastermind with a group of people. It can be done with a strategic partner. It can be done with a group of girlfriends or friends around a glass of wine. I mean, have a laugh with it, but you want to get out there and practice, however that looks like for you. Now, let's talk about the intersection between deal points, transparency, and integrity. I touched on this already, but I want to dive really in because there is a true intersection between deal points, transparency, and integrity. And it's that all three are essential for successful negotiations, and successful relationships. Deal points are the key terms and conditions of the agreement, your sales service, the product. We all know that. Transparency is the practice of being open and honest about your product or service, the terms, the deal points. And integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong ethical principles, right? Now, let's go on and talk about this. When deal points are transparent, both parties, you and your clients who are involved in the negotiation, have a clear understanding of what is being agreed upon. And obviously, if it's not obvious, it should be. This can help to prevent misunderstandings and disagreements down the road, planting that bitter seed, preventing that client churn. This is about building a long-term relationship, a partnership. Additionally, transparency can build the trust between you and your client. And that is literally what makes you come together and makes it far more likely that you will reach a mutually beneficial agreement. Integrity is also essential for successful negotiations. When parties act with integrity, both you and your client, your professional ethics, they're honest and they're fair in their dealings with each other, right? You tell the truth. If you can't negotiate on a certain deal point, you let them know up front. That's not something I can compromise on. That's not something that we can negotiate on. However, we can look at this or this, right? Give them some options, that win-win. And this is all about building trust and cooperation, because this isn't just a one and done deal. This is about a long-term client relationship, additional business, referrals, a 5-star review, all the different and many different ways that you can continue to nurture and foster the relationship for additional business. And this all leads to a far more successful negotiation. Now, finally, deal points must be aligned with the values and principles of everyone involved in the negotiation. That's you and your client, right? When this is the case, it is far more likely that you're going to be able to reach an agreement and close the sale, and it's going to be that win-win. Your new opportunity with the client, the new contract, the sale, the product or service, it's going to be more beneficial and sustainable, because that is how you've built your business. It's really important that you really focus on values and principles, that you both come together with that high level of integrity. So let's walk through an exercise of how you can build out your deal points, because you may be wondering, how the heck do I even put this together? So let's walk through that. Before arriving at the negotiation table, you, your organization, your partners, you need to document each deal point and the associated bargaining options and any exceptions that will be considered. The deal points must cover every requirement to move forward with the sale. And if you have a standard contract or operating procedure, you need to gather that together, because those are part of the deal points. You also want to clarify any options and identify any exceptions that can be applied to the bargaining position. So let's walk through this. Essentially, you've got your deal points, options, and over here, exceptions. All right, so literally, if you take a sheet of paper and you divide it into a third, 3 vertical lines with deal points at the top, options in the second column, and exceptions in the third column. All right, deal points. This is really can be something as simple as your product or service price. That is a deal point, right? There are so many different types of deal points. We already talked about this. It could be and it had the process that you go through for implementation. It could be the actual specifications on materials. Those could be a deal point. In some cases, especially when you're doing manufacturing, there could be different materials, raw materials that go into the product. Back in the day with printing, you could print it on different types of paper. That was a deal point, right? I mean, it's part of the pricing, but it's also something that in some cases you could be a little bit flexible. You might be able to move them to a different sheet of paper for the same price, but that's a deal point, right? It could be how the method of delivery. It could be how many coaching sessions that you're providing, or are they individual, or are they group sessions? You know, are you on call? What's that service level agreement, their access to you? These are all deal points. So walk through the very different types of deal points. Next are options. What are the options? So let's take that first example, your product or service price. Are there any options on that? That could be that you have a volume discount. So if it's a client who has multiple locations and they're going to bring, it's not just a single deal, it's actually a multi-layer deal, that they're going to have multiple locations come in for that service and have you set it up at different plants, let's say, or different business units. That could definitely be a discount because it's the volume of the business that's coming in. All right. There could also be a discount that's associated with a different timeline. So I see this a lot. In fact, it just came up yesterday on a podcasting networking call where one of the podcasters says they give their potential guests 3 options. One is the free option to be interviewed, which honestly, shouldn't be a pay for play, but you don't get your interview published for like 10 months, you know, so it's really out there. And then there's the second level, which you get on the show faster. And certainly that has applicable if you're launching a product or a service or a book, something like that. And then there's a third option where you not only get on faster, but they do some other services for you. So that's where you're taking that core product or service and you're giving people options based on the deal points. Now, here's the next part is exceptions. All right, so let's go back to my first example, product or service price. And what are the exceptions? And I already gave you one. It's because it's not just for a single location. They're going to have you do this product or service or this training at multiple locations. All right. And so that's a larger volume. It's a bigger deal. And that qualifies for a discount. All right. So you need to have that really all outlined, because that way, if you've got Sally who got that price point, remember, on Trivago for $230, and then you've got, Amy, and she got that $175 price on Trivago. Well, but you know what I mean, at the hotel. Well, maybe it's because Amy's part of a conference group. So she had a special URL and code to get in at that price, right? That's why she got that better price. And that's something that also is easy to explain if your client calls you and says, well, how come Amy got this much better deal? Why didn't I get that deal? It's like, well, Amy is part of a conference and they booked 100 rooms. So they got the discount for booking 100 rooms. You booked a single room. And we really are so happy that you're here. We want to make your experiences, enjoyable as possible. You do your client repair, but you have an explanation that makes sense, right? So that's the key with the exceptions. So now, once you have completed cataloging your deal points, your options, and your exceptions, it's time to articulate the reason for each deal point. Now, these explanations are very important because they're effective during negotiations to close gaps and provide a bridge of understanding to help satisfy your client. Remember, this is what I talked about. When you really explain your deal points, then you can anticipate objections. You can anticipate questions that they may have. And you can frame the reasons in terms that resonate that make sense and are, acceptable to your client. All right. So you're going to go ahead and now take those deal points that you've worked out, start a new sheet, have your deal points on the left and on the right, fill out all your explanations. Why does this deal point, why do you have it? Why is it important? Well, as we wrap up, and I hope that exercise is very helpful, deal points, transparency, and integrity are essential for successful negotiations. By being open and honest with each other, really involving your clients so that they understand why you have the deal points when they ask questions, and by acting with integrity, both you and your clients are able to increase the chances of reaching an agreement, of closing the sale, a win-win, that your product or service and moving forward with that relationship is going to be beneficial to everyone involved. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. My purpose is for you to get more clients. Bottom line, don't make this harder than it has to be. Sales should be a win-win. On behalf of Petite to Queen, I've carved out a limited number of time slots to invite you to hop on and ignite your sales call with me to see what's working, not working, and what you would love to have working. I'm going to see how I might further support you in effectively generating more leads, converting more sales, and fulfilling on your promise as a brand and organization. The fastest way to success is to assure people that they know that they matter. And the best way to make this happen is to build a consistent sales strategy to acquire, convert, and capitalize on every lead. You will find growing your business is easy and lucrative. Today, I shared 3 deal points you must master for better sales. The key is for you to implement these steps to stop wasting your time, energy, and resources. You have the opportunity to jump in and get the support you need for true success. Say yes to you and get on a call with me. I am really, truly gifted at this, and you deserve a shortcut to your success with the right support. Go to ptq.link/win-win. Our Get More Clients program is designed for immediate, on-the-fly implementation and individuals committed to taking action to move their business forward. To learn more about our Get More Clients program, visit our website at petitetoqueen.com. You can also connect with me on our website and stay current on all of our insightful advice, our breakthrough advantages, and never miss an episode of Get More Clients by signing up for our weekly Wisdoms newsletter at petitetoqueen.com. Now, next week on Get More Clients, I will share 3. I actually have the wrong title for next week. I said the 3 deal points. I don't know what I'm talking about next week, but you're going to find out. So, and once again, make sure you don't miss a single episode. So then you'll know what I'm going to be talking about by subscribing to Get More Clients wherever you get your podcasts. And if you love the show, please share it and give us a 5-star review. We would very much appreciate it. And you know what? I do have a note here. It is the show for next week is why confidence and the powerful pause are crucial to resolve objections. I promised you I've been talking about objections. I will. So I'll see you next week on Get More Clients.